Welcome to Moonfire Magic. I am working my way through the Major Arcana Tarot Cards using a Rider-Waite tarot deck. If you've never done tarot before, you're new to it, the Rider-Waite Tarot is one of the most traditional based tarot decks. It is very easy to learn off of. They have lots of different kinds. This, for instance, is the Radiant, because the cards are brighter. They have Rider-Waite tarot decks where they actually have the definitions printed on it, like lots of different versions. But if it says Rider-Waite tarot, all the cards in that deck, they're going to be the same. They just have different kinds of colors or variations in that way. Okay, so from the Radiant Rider-Waite tarot, in my 3 previous videos, I've talked about the first 10 cards of the Major Arcana. So we have where I was going to come back to, we start with the Fools, what we come back to with the Major, because it all ties back to the Fool, right? So we are the Fool, and I've gone through the first 9 cards that the Fool comes to. It's about, the people we meet, learning about our intuition, learning how to manifest what we want, going through society and love and figuring out and learning about the consequences for our actions until finally we get to where I left off in the last video, which is the Hermit card, which is where you go inside yourself and figure out what is your truth. What do you believe? Once we get out of cards 1 through 9, okay, we're going to move into cards 10 through 21. So up until this point, this has been, the Fool's kind of inner journey. It's about what's inside of you, like what your beliefs are, how you work with authority figures, with your parent-like figures, society, all of that. But it's kind of like a student kind of going through school and learning, trying to think how to put it. I guess it's like, it's the stuff that makes you you. And throughout your life, right, that's going to change. It's going to evolve. I mean, every time you go through a Lovers, right? Every time that you have a relationship with someone that you love and you make a choice, with your heart versus your head, that's then good. That experience is going to be incorporated into who you are, right? That experience is going to become part of your spiritual and your soul knowledge and your intuition, right? Every time you go to like a different school or different learning or different institution, that's going to be integrated. So the Hermit card, which is our truth, right? I mean, this is kind of the cycle of the Fool. We're going to, throughout life, we're going to kind of go through a lot of repetitive patterns, and we're going to go through cycles, and they're going to kind of come around. And so this first half of these cards basically is kind of helping to make you the person you are. And I guess this is the part that you can control, in a sense. Like you're able to make these choices. You're able to decide what you believe and what's true. Now we're moving into the next set of cards, and these cards are more kind of fate oriented. They're more on a bigger scale. Not doing a very good job of explaining this, I feel like. But let's see. We're going to do the Wheel of Fortune, Strength, Hanged Man. Let's start with those. Okay. So after the Hermit, so we've got the Fool. He's gotten to the Hermit stage, right? He's integrated everything he's learned, all right? That's something that you can, to an extent, control. Well, here comes the Wheel of Fortune. So the Wheel of Fortune is almost like a gateway card. We are now going to shift away from all those like individual experiences, and fate is going to now step in. Okay. The very traditional meaning of the Wheel of Fortune is kind of luck. What comes up must go down. So if you're in a run of bad luck, it's going to turn up. If you're in a run of good luck, it's going to go down. That's kind of the original traditional on it. I see the Wheel of Fortune card is to me, it's repetitive patterns. Okay, so I feel like when you're in your late teens, going into your 20s, it's kind of like the page and the knight cards when we get to the court cards. You're doing things, and you're probably doing stupid things and making stupid decisions, but those experiences are kind of setting you up for the karma that you need to clear out. So my personal belief is that we are reincarnated, and before we come into our next life, because we're all just souls, right? My body is just a vessel for my soul. And so when my body dies, my soul energy gets released back into the universe. This is just my belief. And that we get reincarnated, and as you go through your lives and you become more spiritual and you level up and become more aware of things like the tarot and such, you kind of pick going into your life what karma, what situations maybe need to be worked out, what karma you need to clear. Like I'm adopted, and I have no doubt that my mom that raised me, I was adopted before I was born. I was actually the third open adoption in the state of Washington in 1984. It was very, very unheard of to have open adoptions when I was little. But my birth mom had said if I was a girl, she would not give me up. I was a girl, and she still gave me to my mom and dad, who had tried for 12 years to have a child and couldn't. And I have no doubt that I picked that mom coming into this lifetime. She was very much a soul connection. She passed away 11 years ago, unfortunately. She was very unhealthy. But she was a very deep soul connection, and that, to me, I know that was destiny. That was meant to be. It was fated, I believe, before I came into this life. But I chose it at the same time. So the Wheel of Fortune comes up, and to me, I interpret it as, this repetitive cycle. So when I was younger, I worked at a job. It was a company that decided to kind of expand overnight and got a position. Long story short, I was wrongly accused of sexually harassing another employee. They set me up with holes in my story so they could call me a liar and fire me because he was a minority, and I'm white. It was easier to just, get rid of me. That was the first time I'd ever been fired from a job. It was very devastating to me. I believe I was maybe 19, 20 years old. Up until that point, working was what I did. That's the only thing I really thought I was good at. It was a retail chain. It wasn't anything big, but I had gotten to where I had wanted to be, which was a salary paid manager. Okay. So a couple of years ago, maybe three summers ago, I think, we had some planet stuff going on that was talking about a lot of repetitive things, and that situation came around again. I was offered a management position with another company, and that district manager had awful energy, but I took the job. Everyone at the store that I was working at seemed nice, but there was a young boy that didn't want to work, and when I was there, I would, make him work. I seemed to make him uncomfortable when I was around him, asked him a couple times and he said no. He invited me to church one time, so I went to church, and he decided to file a sexual harassment claim against me, kind of like exactly the same, literally the exact same thing that happened before, comes around again. And they basically said to me, that I'm not allowed to hang out with anyone that I work with outside of work because I'm a manager. There were a couple coworkers that would hug me. They're like, you're not allowed to hug people, and that's in the policy book, and you're responsible to read that, so we're going to let you go. Well, I had never read the policy book. They never gave me time to do that. But I just sat there and I was looking at this assistant manager, district manager, and she just seems so miserable in her life. Like, I can't hug people. And so my thought was, why would I want to work at a place like this? So see, the first time around, it was a huge devastation. I went into a month-long depression. It was the first time since I was 15 that I didn't work. Actually, had a month that it was awful. And, but, afterwards I realized, well, work's not everything. And so this time it came back around again. It's like the universe is testing you. Okay, how are you going to react this time? So I feel like I leveled up and I reacted in a different way and saw it for what it was. The first company that fired me, they went out of business within a year. That company that fired me ended up getting bought out by another chain a couple years later. There was another company I worked for that fired me that had really, really bad energy as well. They also went under during COVID. And unfortunately, the company I'm currently working for has the same type of energy. So I'm looking to work elsewhere, but don't have much faith in that. So, the thing is when you get this Wheel of Fortune card, there could be some luck involved. It could be opportunity. In fact, I like the saying that luck is when preparation meets opportunity. But it's also can mean that there's a repetitive cycle here that pretty much needs to be broken. In order to break your repetitive cycles, you have to go through the lessons. You have to go through the karma. You have to clear it out. You have to level up. Sometimes you have to go through the same thing, multiple times and keep leveling up until eventually you finally really get the lesson and you're able to clear it out. So the Wheel of Fortune comes in. Here's the Fool. Okay, and he's over here. So the Wheel of Fortune's coming in and it's saying, okay, let's say if this is the very, you're young at this point. So this is the first time, maybe that this is happening, like something's going to become a repetitive or something that you've been doing is coming around again. Relationships. If you're in a kind of on and off again relationship with someone that you're very spiritually connected to, it could be, you're repeating the same cycle, or, it's coming back around. Okay. So from the Wheel of Fortune, that's number 10. You have number 11, which in other decks is Justice. I like to put Strength here. Okay. Strength is this is not about brute force. This strength is talking about compassion. And you can see, she's got the infinity. She's very calm. And see how she's just gently taming that lion. So this is about inner strength, inner strength and knowing, that having that strength is important, and that courage, having courage is being brave is not the absence of being scared. Being brave is being courageous enough to do something even though you are scared. And strength, this inner strength, gives you the power to do that. So I feel like strength comes after this one, because the cards coming after that are going to get kind of tough. And I feel like this is where you need to really learn your own inner strength and your own inner power, and the compassion and kindness and the strength through love, through loving others, loving yourself. Because after strength, we have the Hanged Man. Okay. Now the Hanged Man it's a suspension, right? He's suspended from this tree. But if you look, he's not in pain. His legs free, his arms are free. This is a self-sacrifice. He's hanging himself upside down because you need to see things with a different perspective. Okay. So there is some sort of a pause going on, a suspension, because your situation, things can't move forward until you can see what you need to see from a new perspective. Okay, so you have the inner strength, and to be able to do this self-sacrifice for the cards that are coming next, which I will go ahead and continue on. Okay, so after you have the Hanged Man, and this is your warning card, like, hey, take a pause, you see things from a different perspective, get a different angle, because what comes after the Hanged Man is death. Now, people see death and they think, oh my gosh, we're gonna die. That's not what death is talking about in this particular card. If you get this card with like 4 of Swords and 10 of Swords, possibly it could mean a literal death. But death is talking about transformation, right? The caterpillar that goes in the cocoon and comes out a butterfly. But in order for transformation to occur, in order for change to occur, something has to die for something new to begin, right? The caterpillar has to go into the cocoon and die to be reborn as a butterfly. One of my favorite images for death is the phoenix, right? Because they start out little, they grow up, they burst into flames, they turn into ash, and then they're reborn. So it's like a regeneration, right? So death is inevitable. It comes to all of us. No one will ever escape death. That's part of this too. But, death is a warning card to you as well. So you have like the Hanged Man saying, okay, there needs to be a new perspective here. There's a pause to kind of think about things. And then death comes along and says, okay, something in your life like isn't working and you need to end it. So something new can come in. So you have a relationship that's kind of toxic. It's not really working out. You need to end that, close it out to let in something better. You're at a job. This is kind of what I've been going through. You're at a job that you really know it doesn't align with your values. They don't appreciate you. They don't see you in the right way. You know that you should be going somewhere else, but you're kind of stuck. It's like, but I need the money or this or that. So death's kind of that warning card of, if you don't do something about this, then eventually the universe will. So when you put that with the Hanged Man, it's like, hey, this is a heads up that you need to like kind of pause and see different perspectives, maybe look at different options. What is it that needs to be closed out or let go in your life for something new to begin, right? Or like going into a new relationship. How can you go into a new relationship 100% if there's still ties to a previous relationship? Especially if the previous relationship was a little bit on the toxic side, all right? And see that all this is going to require this strength. That's why I like to put it here. So after death, we're going to have, let me find it because I mixed things up a little bit. Then after death, we have temperance. So we have, okay, let's pause and kind of regather ourselves because there's something going on, something isn't working, something needs to die, something needs to end for something new to bloom. So let's look at temperance. So temperance is about moderation, kind of like the Chariot was finding the middle path, but temperance is kind of an alchemy card. So you can see how she's holding the 2 cups in the water. And the thing with temperance and moderation is it changes all the time. It changes whatever situation you're in when you're around different people, different environments. As the environment and energy around you is changing, you're constantly having to sort of use those cups and adjust that fluid, adjust your energy to keep yourself in that temperate, moderate place. And that can be very hard to do, right? If you are in not great energy, if you've got addictions, things like that. But this is see, there's the crown. See, like, again, I don't even know what the traditional symbols are. I see this, but I kind of like that because it's almost like the path is like, you know, through moderation, you can get yourself to that crown is what it looks like to me. So this is kind of the last warning card. Like these are the mild warning cards, okay? These are the, you know, hey, there's something that you're getting yourself into or you've already gotten into that it's starting to maybe lean towards the side of not good, like maybe toxic, whether it's substance abuse or a toxic relationship. It's attaching to something that is not for your highest good. That's the way to put it. Okay, so, you know, you decide, oh, I don't need to see another perspective. You get death. There's nothing I need to close out. You get temperance. Okay, let's try to moderate and balance here. Okay, if you haven't changed anything by that point, in comes the Devil card. And look at that Devil card. So the Devil, he's got these prisoners, right? They've got loose chains around their necks. And those are chains that they have put around their necks. All right. The Devil card is a card of overindulgence. It's a card of entrapment and being enslaved to something that you have put the chains on yourself, and now you're at this level where it's really hard to get out of it, right? You ignored, you know, you didn't follow the advice of the previous 3 cards. So now you're at this place of darkness where you have these chains that you've put around you and you really need to get them off. With the Devil, what I see the most with this, usually it's either alcohol, marijuana, or drug abuse. It could be sex, lots of, and I love sex. Don't get me wrong. I love sex. And sex in a positive expression is great, but this can be talking about more of like a very toxic or sadistic or, you know, anything that's just, it's not healthy for you, right? So this is your last kind of warning card, like, hey, you have gotten yourself into this situation. You need to get yourself out, because if you don't. Now, a lot of people think this isn't, that Death and the Devil are pretty bad cards. I don't think any cards in the tarot deck are bad, because they all serve a purpose. These Death and the Devil are there to kind of warn you, like give you a heads up, like, hey, there's something going on here that needs to be addressed. Well, if you decide, if you're not, and you know, you may not be strong enough to get yourself out of this, honestly, you might be so far in that it's just, you can't do it. Well, boom, here comes your Tower. The Tower is chaos. It is very abrupt, sudden change. It is unexpected. You can see the lightning bolt. It's out of the blue a lot of times. This is the universe's card. This is the universe coming in and saying, you know what? You didn't want to take care of this. You don't want to level yourself up. Well, guess what? I'll go ahead and take care of it for you. And I can guarantee you, because I have been through quite a few towers, and a couple of them I have actually, initiated myself. The Tower is always 10 times worse than if you had just found a way to get out of it on your own. Because the Tower is just, it's chaos, and it's completely out of your control. It literally, it comes in, and anything that is built on false foundation, anything that is, you know, not good for you, it destroys it. It literally like blows it to smithereens, right? And the good thing about that is once you hit rock bottom, there's nowhere to go but back up, right? So the Tower I actually like because it comes in and it clears it all out. You know, like the job I'm at right now, I've known for a while that it's not the place I'm going to stay at long term. And I was on a training team, and I knew that they were not seeing me for who I am. They were not seeing the truth of me. But I kept sticking in. Because I was like, oh, the money. Well, what happened? Tower came in. And basically, you know, long story short, I resigned from that training team because of some stuff that happened. And you know what? I feel 1,000 times better. Yeah, I'm missing that money. It was great, but it was not worth the toxicity I was around and my health, right? So if I had just, you know, gone back and I knew a while back that, you know, I had a new perspective on it, that I really needed to let it go so new opportunities would come in. I was having extreme difficulty moderating my emotions and energy around the other trainers. And it led to this. I was feeling very trapped in it, even though, you know, I put myself there. And so boom, universe comes in and goes, you know what? We'll help you out. So even though when the Tower hits, of course, it's very emotional. It's very devastating. There's a lot of feelings. There's sadness, there's anger, there's all this stuff. It's very, you know, chaotic. Ultimately, it clears everything away, right? So then to let in better things. All right, so I'm going to move on to the next video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in a few.